Hello, everyone. Percy number 6. Welcome back to another Percy's Ever Present Past. Today's episode 19, and ironically enough, my guest favorite NFL player is Minnesota Vikings wide receiver Adam Thielen, who is also number 19. It is TrainKing James.
No, and no. My favorite NFL player is not on the Vikings. He wears number 86 and is on the Eagles. But hello, everyone.
James, it's great to have you. I don't know how much NFL we're going to get into now, but we had to start out with a line like that.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. This is going to
Uh,
be great.
so on that note, let's get started. James, you joined the community 6 years ago now, 2014. I want to kind of get into your mind, see what it was like back then. What made you join the Thomas Wooden Railway community way back when?
You're going to like this answer, actually, because you do play a role in it.
Oh, I love that.
So, I mean, if I go just to pure it's kind of a story. There's a short answer to this, and then there's a longer answer. Which one would you kind of like to hear?
I'd love to hear the full story. Give me the long answer.
So, it kind of started just around 2011, honestly. I was just, browsing around YouTube, and I found Thomas Wooden Rally videos, and the first channel I found was somebody who doesn't make Thomas Wooden Rally videos anymore, and I never really heard anybody talk about him in the community. I believe his name was like LB Bryan or something like that, that, if you know who I'm talking about.
Man, I don't know if I do. That's crazy.
Yeah. He wasn't well known, but it was somebody that I found, and very quickly after I found Thomas Wooden Rally's channel. And then I started finding more channels. I found yours. I found Milk Tanker Media, Enterprising Engines. This is moving into 2012 territory. And I started, making my own videos on the side. And I made like several different attempts at series that never made it to YouTube. That's just for my own personal amusement.
Mm-hmm.
There have probably been ideas that made it to YouTube. But really, it was more or less like none of those videos really surfaced to the light of day. And Thanksgiving 2013, I built a layout and I decided to film an episode on it on my iPhone, and I edited it. This is like the first time I edited an episode ever. Like beforehand, I used to like film with a camera, and I just edited it myself. And then by the end of Thanksgiving break, I had filmed like 5 more. We'll get to what happened to those episodes in a bit.
Ooh.
And then December 2013, I saw a video on your channel. It was you and Ted talking about, I believe it was on your channel, it was you and Ted's video talking about, the community, and you guys were looking for new members and stuff like that. And at this point, I tried to ask about having a YouTube channel before, and, with my mom, and she was nervous at first, but, basically in January 2014, I decided, I watched the video in December, and I was like really interested in, joining YouTube and doing something and, being part of this community and hoping maybe to fix this problem where you guys wanted more, youth, more new users in the community. So I inevitably, I asked, I had a whole proposal ready, and, I got my channel. And the first thing I uploaded was the episode I made on Thanksgiving, which was that vertical, very crappy episode that I did, episode 1 of my old series, and the rest is history.
Oh man, that's really cool. Way back when Ted and I did that whole video, we were hoping to get it, and I mean, the fact we got someone like you out of that's outstanding.
Thanks. Yeah, it's like, I remember what 2013 was like. It's like, while I was not part of the community, I saw a lot of things from like the back burners, like from 2011 onwards. So I saw things like the Jack War. I saw things like I remember the what else happened? Like I remember when the wiki was new. I remember I've seen some of these Twitter fights that had happened. Some things like the Sodor and Afro War and a bunch of other things that have happened.
Wow.
Happened in that timeline. It's like it's weird for me to like discuss being present for, because I wasn't there, but I saw a lot of it unfold and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
It's weird that I was present. I remember the wooden railway competition being announced and seeing all the entries and stuff like that.
Oh
I
yeah.
really wanted to enter but couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
But look, it was just that kind of It was just it was just so interesting just to like see like this community develop, and then to finally one day join it and actually, I remember what a dead spot 2013 was, where it was kind of like the community was like a lot of people had kind of left and people weren't really making videos as much, and it was like, I wanted to try to do something, and while my contribution in 2014 wasn't the best at the time, I'm glad I was able to develop into something that a lot of people have come to really like.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And that's always interesting. Unfortunately, I deleted my videos, so 2008 through 2011, none of those, or through 2010, none of those videos are still up. But we all have those humble beginnings. I sure did. How I know you had a series before the one that you currently have. How was that? What was different? What made you kind of move on from that series?
Um, okay, this is a very interesting question. So what that series was, it was kind of like what most Thomas Wooden Railway series were at the time. It was kind of edgy, a lot of stories about like this one bad guy tried to take over Sodor, had its own movie for that, had a lot of, edgy themes and stuff like that. And after a while, as I was making episodes, it was like I wasn't enjoying them because I felt like I wasn't really doing anything. I felt like I was just kind of copying what had already been done. While not necessarily stealing, per se, anyone's particular idea, I
Mm-hmm.
just felt like I was making the same series as what had come before me. And I decided, in 2015 to sit down, say, I'm going to rethink my series, come up with something new. So I ended my series, and just I looked at some of the ideas, and there are some ideas from my old series that I translated to my new series. That I like, for example, the first episode of my new series is the same one of my old series. It was the same episode that I first uploaded to YouTube when I did all those years ago back in 2014. I just modernized it, revamped it, stuff like that. So much better in comparison to what the previous first episode was. Obviously, I wouldn't say it's to my standards today. Maybe one day I'll remaster it again, but I mean, I guess that like first story to me has just always been like, I know I had to keep it in, and I've kept a couple of other ideas, some that have been seen in my new series, some that haven't, that I've just
Mm-hmm.
taken, just because I liked the ideas enough, but I didn't want to take everything because I wanted it to feel more like it's my personal ideas, and I think I've accomplished that now.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's really cool that you took a story from way back in 2013, and your series that you still have today is that was like the first episode for that. I think that's a really good idea and a nice way to stay to your roots while also building something new.
Yeah.
Well, before I want to talk about the series you're currently working on, but before we get to that, I want to talk about JBS, how it should be. As
Ooh.
you were one of those people who were a key part of creating it, and while it's pretty quiet today, and I just kind of want to get your reactions, your thoughts on JBS, how it should be.
All right. My thoughts on JBS are kind of complicated. I look at JBS like I look at a lot of parts of my, development as a YouTuber. I look at it as a stepping stone, a necessary one. It's not the cleanest stone, but it was something that I worked on. I'm not proud of everything that goes into that project, but there was definitely some things that came out of that project and helped me. Really, JBS helped me in ways that it kind of affected all of us in the group differently. But speaking from my own personal experience, before the movie, I was kind of reaching burnout because I did a lot of collaborations with people in 2016. And by January 2017, I was very tired of making videos. I was about 4 episodes into my new series, and I was like, I'm just going to take a break and relax for a little bit. And as I started to come back and I started to like make videos in the summer, but I didn't upload very much, and I was still in a funk. And JBS kind of gave me something to focus on during that time, so I was able to kind of slack off a bit. I still filmed for my series, but I didn't upload anything. So a lot of footage was filmed for my series, but not a lot of videos physically came out in the summer from like the time I started JBS to when I finished it. But when I finished JBS, it was more of like I finally understood. Like I kind of got myself back into gear of working hard again and making something, And at this point, this is a JBS came out the midpoint of my senior year, so I was kind of past the point where I finished applying to colleges. The first semester was done. I'm pretty much at the second semester. I can kind of pull back a little bit. I can focus a little bit more on doing videos. So that's what I kind of got back into. But JBS, it taught me a lot of necessary lessons that, you got to look, when you look into a project, you can never fully anticipate how someone's going to look at it. And it's okay if somebody doesn't look at it the exact same way as you. And you kind of have to, take the good with the bad. Can't let it hold you down too much. Because at the end of the day, we're all aspiring filmmakers. We're not perfect, and I don't expect anybody to be perfect, but we're all going to continue to just do something a little bit better each time. Every time we step up, every time we step up to, make a new big project, every time someone makes a new big project in the community, it's going to get its fair amount of criticism and praise. And you kind of have to take what people give you that's good to build off of, but you also have to kind of take what people give you that's bad to build off of. And I took that to heart, and and that honestly made me a better writer, because I will say I did write a good chunk of JDS. I focused a lot on Hurricane and Frankie's story and James, so those three were like the three characters I worked with the most. So a lot of the steelwork scenes were pretty much my work, and I didn't feel like I came across my ideas as perfectly as I could have in that movie, which may have caused some of the backlash in the end. But I feel like at the end of the day, this was a project that wasn't easy, not something that, I'm going to walk around and say this is the best thing ever, but I'm also not going to say, like, this is the worst thing ever. This is a necessary process to making videos, and something, while not perfect, was something I enjoyed because it really brought me close to the friends that I have today.
Oh, for sure. Definitely a nice building block, I think, for you. I think for everybody involved, and I'm glad you and I think a lot of you who are involved with it have taken the good and help that with you throughout your time in YouTube.
Yeah, it was a necessary, like I said, it's been a necessary stepping stone, but being a creator means you're going to get those days where people are going to look at something and not understand what you were trying to accomplish, and you're going to have days where you look at something and then you realize you don't even understand what you're trying to accomplish. But you gotta, at the end of the day, you gotta, like, you take and say, okay, I gotta be clearer as the writer. I need to be able to do this. As a filmer, I need to do this. And when you do figure that stuff out, and then you try your next big thing, people see the development and appreciate it, and I think that's what we need to take away from it.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I agree. And as we kind of switch gears, right before we get to your series, I want to talk one little part about your series because you and I have something in common. We are both fellow hand pushers. So I want to talk about that. I've never asked anybody about that. What's your, because I do it, you do it. There's not too many of us that do it as much nowadays. What kind of made you
Yeah, we're
go
a
that
dying
route?
breed.
Hmm?
Yeah, I said we were a dying breed.
We are
But
we really are. That's why I asked. Because what made you when you started up the series? What kind of made you go in the direction? Because you have everything set that you could do string if you wanted to, probably. But what makes you go with the hand pusher route?
it kind of goes for my aesthetic. Personally, it's kind of like the way I want my videos to look. It's kind of like I want people to be reminded of those, like the yearbook photos where you see, like, those really cool sets of Thomas, and the wooden railway pops off the screen, even though you see, like, the grass and the bushes and everything in the sky. The wooden railway what sticks out to you, and I feel like the best way to show off the wooden railway is to remind everybody it is a toy. It's not. It's not like, I mean, yes, it's a model, but it's not like something. I feel like sometimes with shrink, you're trying to match that idea, and you're trying to, like, show off that these things are moving by themselves, and you're trying to more kind of puppeteer them. But with me, with my hands, it's like I'm not trying to hide that. I'm trying to, like, bring it to the forefront. It fits my aesthetic, and that's the kind of thing I want people to look at them, and the wooden railway pops off the screen first. Not the fancy set design, just the wooden railway. And I want people to be reminded that this is purely wooden railway videos, for for this is it's supposed to remind you back to those early 2000s yearbooks. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, 100. I loved looking at those yearbooks and like seeing the layout, especially when they showed you the layout. Besides just like the building guide, like when they showed you actual pictures of it, I love that.
Yeah. It's like when I think about like my hand pushing, it's kind of like, I mean, I've done string before. I did it during JBS. I use it when I film things for like the CSC Classic Series Creations, and I've used it in other projects. But ultimately, it's like I just feel most at home when it's by hands, and I've gotten pretty good at it over the years. It's kind of it becomes more of a craft. It's kind of interesting to see what you can do with two hands.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, string is helpful, and string looks good. I'll admit, string looks good. However, with just doing well, when I do things by hand, it just takes you back to that aesthetic, and it's like I kind of almost look at my aesthetic as like a mix of like hand pushers past, but then it also kind of harkens back to videos like Roberto's, where you would see his videos on a set, and while he used string, the wooden it was very much designed like wooden railway sets in the way of like
Mm-hmm.
not trying to be realistic, but trying to just design things with wooden railway track plans and stuff like that. And that's what I kind of try to do a hybrid of. So you have that kind of wooden railway pop aesthetic, and you have that wooden railway pop aesthetic, but all also using your hand at the same time. So it's kind of like you're doubling down on it.
Yeah. I like that. I like that. I like the thought behind that. It makes so much sense, and I'm glad you're one of the people keeping it alive. And let's bite the bullet. Let's talk about the series, the thing we've been waiting for a bit now. Your series. I really like the way you have your take on it. I also think it's a pretty cool idea how you did season summaries. So for people that didn't watch the entire season, they can watch that to catch up to your series. I think that's a good idea, but. Let's let you talk about all of it. So your series, what kind of made you go in the direction in terms of writing style and plot and whatever else you want to talk about when it comes to your series?
All right, so my series, if you guys didn't know, is Sodor: A New Era, and the brainstorming for my series started back in 2015 when I canceled my old series. I was trying to figure out what could I do that other people didn't. And a big thing that people love to talk about is modernization and the rivalry between steam engines and diesel engines. And I always loved that topic, but I always felt like it's been done a lot. But as I continued to I kind of started watching a lot of series that dealt with it, and I started to realize that a lot of series tend to have the diesels be always tend to be perceived as the bad guys and the steam engines perceived as the good guys. And it's like I started reading the railway series a little bit more to get more inspiration on the time period, which is between the 50s. Well, it starts out in the 50s. That's when my first episode takes place. So I kind of started to look at it, and I started paying attention to how certain characters acted, and I realized there's a lot of gray here. You have good steam engines and bad steam engines, good diesels and bad diesels, and I thought, why not add the element of people, good people and bad people during all of this? All these different angles to take modernization encapsulated in a single series, and that's what I've been trying to do. So when I set out my series, I have an end goal in mind of where things are going to end up, and it's like every episode is meant to develop another. I cannot think of a single episode that I've done in my series that has no bearing of development of any kind on any previous episode established. Because it's the little things. Like season one, the way season one starts out, it starts out pretty much the way it started out in the early 50s. You start out with the steam engines at their prime. No one's really upset or worried about anything serious. It's a pretty nonchalant story. But then as time goes on in season one, this first season ends with the first diesel appearing on the island, and then all of a sudden we start diving into season two. It's like modernization starts to kick in, and we start to see how certain engines react. And season three is like the peak of modernization. That's why when you do stories like the ones from the Railway series book, Enterprising Engines or Mainline Engines, you're really deep. You have to dig deep in some of these engines and characters' emotions to really understand what was going on at the time, just in railways in general. And that's where you get so many different perspectives.
Mm-hmm. What I've really liked that you've been able to do with your series is the way you take a classic Thomas and Friends episodes, remake that into your own style while also incorporating it into your greater plot of your series. Nobody's done something like that before.
Yeah. And a lot of it is just kind of like you take the base material. I work off the Railway series first. Like the Railway series is my set guideline, and then when I try to make things into my own personal narrative, it's like things get tweaked every now and then. It's not 100% accurate to the Railway series because there are things like there are things that in the Railway series that didn't happen in happened in the Railway series that don't happen in my series. I mean, but sorry, I said that wrong. There are things that happen in my series that didn't happen in the Railway series, but maybe could have. There are conversations that I have in the series that aren't shown in the Railway series, but at least are implied to have happened, could have happened, and you never know. And it's just very it's interesting just to like develop an idea. Like take an episode. I took a season 10 episode that most people don't really like season 10. It's not a popular season, and to kind of fit it and connect it with a season 4 episode, it's like or in a Railway series story, technically in that case, in a way to make it while improving, taking the basic plot structure of the season 10 episode and applying it more of a Railway series context while also fitting my narrative. That that's the kind of thing I strive to do because now it's about looking at the characters in different perspectives and trying to understand what characters would have been going through at the time. While it's still dark, it's still like I wouldn't say it's as edgy and dark as my old series. It's more of like it's mature is what I would call it. Not necessarily dark. It's more mature because there's a lot of themes. There's things like characters discussing things like death. There's things like characters dealing with borderline depression in some episodes. Not necessarily named depression, just referred to as depression. And you have characters that are dealing with all kinds of different things, and there's undertones of things like like I try to look at there's kind of a bit of an undertone of like racism when it comes to steam engines and diesel engines. While it's not like they're a direct allegory for any specific kind, it's like the way that they talk about steam engines and diesel engines in the Railway series is in a sense a very it's kind of like it is kind of it's in an engine sense racist, where because you're going against a specific you're going against a specific kind of engine, because they're the same as you. It's that kind of thing. It's like being able to channel that vibe with these characters that so many love, and being able to kind of stretch the borders of what some characters go. So not that you go around hating these characters, but where you can kind of say like this character has a point, but like, do they have to be so harsh about it?
Yeah, and I like the way you do that because you really do take that type of an angle with it, and like you said, a lot of steamies versus diesel type of narrative throughout your series, and you make it work. You make it work.
Yeah, I mean, it's really just it's the base plan was there in the Railway series, and to some extent some of it's in the TV series. It's really about taking my own personal ideas and personal takes on characters and being able to bring them to the forefront along with this big plan. And it's kind of like making a piece of music. It's getting all the instruments to work together.
Yeah. So I gotta ask, along with all these lines, because I know how series are. It takes a lot to do a series. It takes a lot of time to film, to make, but yet you are one of, if not the most active person making videos in the Thomas Wooden Railway community. So for my sake, for everybody listening, how do you do it? How do you manage to take the time to film like you do, edit and upload on a consistent basis where basically every Saturday you have an upload?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that as of recently, just because I've been kind of just grinding these last few weeks. But really, what happens? I try to take, especially with having a schedule when I need to go to college and stuff like that. I can't film when I'm at college, so really the plan is I try to organize myself. I try to basically plan ahead what I need by this date. Right now, I'm currently in the final finishing steps of finishing the finale of this third season of my series, and I've just been finishing the last few shots I need of that. I'll be done tomorrow. And it comes down to me planning and sitting down and just doing bulk films. So, like, for example, a set like Nafford, with whatever scripts I have done at the time, so maybe I have, like, 5 scripts that require scenes at Nafford Station. I'll film all of those scenes at once and then stockpile all the footage. And when I'm ready to actually go and edit that footage, then just kind of, I record my audio at home, and then I'll take it with me. And at college, sometimes I'll edit there, sometimes I edit when I'm home, stuff like that. And I just kind of manage to handle my time there. It's just kind of consistently having something ready. Always have like a couple of videos in backup, just to be able to edit and stuff like that. Then I could just quickly upload when I'm working on more serious things. So it's kind of like an alternate process. The stories get written, well in advance before I film them, and then by the time I'm filming them, it's, I'm sorry, I just blanked. By the time I'm filming them, I'm moving on to other stories or other things. I'm working on maybe something lighter. And then when I go to edit those stories that I filmed, I'm probably filming other stories or working on smaller videos to upload. This year I've been kind of short because usually I do a vlog series. And because of the current pandemic, I haven't really gone anywhere at all this summer, really. So there wasn't really a vlog. So that's no episodes of that coming out anytime soon. So I'm a little short on content than I usually am. But I try to stockpile whatever I can, and I try to just kind of like, if something, while I'm working on something else is in the pipeline, just kind of keep moving down the conveyor belt.
That's a really good way to do it. I envy it. You do a really good job with planning ahead, getting your videos up. I give you a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy. There are times, for example, this year. Oh man, this year I had a hard drive failure on my old computer, and got a lot of footage up for around episode 6 through like 13 that was all on the computer. Pretty much a lot of those episodes were done or almost done to some extent. Episode 6 was like completely edited, ready to go, but 7 was pretty close to being finished, and the whole basically just the system failed. I have no idea how it happened. It just happened. I didn't have it all backed up at first, and because of the pandemic, I wasn't able to go out and get the footage off my hard drive for like a month. So I was just kind of stalled, and I was kind of debating: do I, upload? Do I try to like reshoot it just real quick, or do I wait to see if I can get it? And I luckily waited, and after a month, I was able to find a place pretty local to me that was able to remove the footage from the hard drive and move it to my other hard drive, my external one. And I was able to have pretty much, I saved everything, and at that point I was able to move on. And that's why, like, for example, in June, I was able to upload 4 episodes at once, because I started editing those 4 episodes at the end of May, and I would probably about a week ahead finishing them before I would release them. So episode 8, which was released at the beginning of June, would have been filmed and like would have been filmed during that time. It was filmed during my spring break, which became my extended summer break, so to speak. And then I started editing it end of May, uploaded it early June, and by end of June I was up to 11 episodes of the series of my 3rd season. When I started, but when I started uploading again in May, I was only up to my 6th episode came out. So it was able to come out quickly because I had a lot of footage ready, and these episodes were able to be stockpiled and just be uploaded pretty fast.
Oh, for sure. I'm glad it was. That sounds like a nightmare trying to deal with the hard drive failure. I'm glad it worked out though in the end.
Yeah, it was a nightmare, but thankfully it's over, and now I back up my computer.
Well, the last question before we finish off, I know you mostly upload your series, your vlogs, so I guess that, and if there's anything else, what's kind of to come to your channel through the rest of 2020 and maybe even into 2021?
I don't know when this video will be released, but
probably September now, but who knows?
If it's not out by the time this video released, then my finale to season 3 will be released, and there'll be a couple of small videos. I plan to upload a compilation of episode 8 through 11 from my season 3. Or I have to apologize. When I say episode 8 of a particular season, I don't mark my episodes by when I do a season, I mark my episodes in my head by like numbers because I do 15 in a season. So season 3, episode 8 is how I remember it. When in reality, it's like 38. So when I say 8 or 6, I mean like 36, 38, depending on the season.
Yeah.
Do get that confused sometimes. So I just realized I slipped the tongue. So planning a compilation of episode 38 to 41, which would be the 8th through 11th episode, because they are the Enterprising Engines episodes, into a mini movie. And then after that, stay tuned, because I have a big surprise to my channel that I'll probably announce very soon.
Ooh.
If it has ready.
Okay.
Depending on what it's uploaded.
Awesome. That if it's not up yet, I'm sure I can speak for everybody, and we're looking forward to hearing what that may be.
Yeah.
All right, James, it's been great having you on here, fellow TTTE community radio host over at Thomas Battles.
Yeah, it's been fun being on this show. I remember when this show started.
Really?
Yeah, I remember when it started. So it's like to be on this show just makes me feel old now.
It does, doesn't it? The fact that I'm interviewing people like you, who at the time is kind of what the show was targeted at, the new people, and now you have been around for a while now, so full circle.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, before we go, any links or things you would like to plug?
Yeah. Obviously, subscribe to my channel, TrainKing James. Subscribe to Community Radio. And also, I'd like to plug Classic Series Creations. We are a channel that takes a lot of different users from the community of all kinds, and we make short stories. So if you want to help out with that, feel free to message me, and we can try to find a place for you. We're currently looking for filmers and editors, especially editors. Editors, animators in that category. If we can get help in that if we can get help there, that would really help us out a lot. I do have one last thing to say though.
Yeah.
It's just 2 numbers, very simple 2 numbers to say.
No, go ahead, James.
All I have to say is 38 to 7. That's all I say.
I knew that was coming. Well, all right, James. On that unfortunate note, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, and remember, falls.
No. No. Oh boy. Thank you all for listening.